And I'm assuming that the room is not full because of the traffic or people are still coming. It's about high time Africans learn to respect our time, and hopefully as we move on, we will make some adjustments to be sure that we are supposed to be where we're supposed to be. Ashe. So this afternoon, we have a very, very dynamic program, and everybody should understand the program and why we are here. We are here because as African peoples all over the world, whether we live on the continent of Africa or whether we live outside of Africa, and I'm sure if Africans, there is life on the moon and Africans find themselves at this stage, we probably are going to be treated and be grouped together as the people that does not have dignity according to the world of other people that we are all forced to live under. And so we are here because Africa has been under attack for so long, since the beginning of the Jewish invasion into Africa, as we know it, 6,000 years plus, and for the past 500 years especially, and the past few years. Of course, the attack on Africa has never stopped, but we are seeing a different phase of attack against African people, and we need to make sure that we understand what is going on so that we can be prepared and arm ourselves so that we can move forward and make sure that we have a future for us and for the next generation. And that is why we're here. As the program proceeds, you're going to get a lot of information that is going to determine whether or not you're going to keep silent, if you're going to sit by and let things go the way they are, or whether you are going to take the challenge and make sure that you become a creator with the Creator so that you can create a better future for Africa and for humanity. So we are going to begin the libation, and everybody here is South African. There's no explanation about libation. Others have tread where we are treading today, and for that matter, we call on the names of some of the ancestors who devoted their time and their energies and their resources to be sure that we today can have dignity and respect. And the name that comes to mind, we honor Marcus Garvey. We say Ashe. Ashe. We also have a great warrior, a great general of the African diaspora in the person of Harriet Tubman. We say Ashe. Ashe. We also honor and call on the spirits that we want everybody here to be possessed. The spirit of dedication, the spirit of love, and the spirit that keeps fighting so that we will leave a legacy also for the future generation. And with that, we call on the name Amilcar Cabral, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call Thomas Sankara, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call on Sylvester Williams, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call on Benito Sylvain, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call on Henry McNeil Tanner, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call Edward Blyden, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call Paul Coffey, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call Alexander Waters, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call the great Queen Sergio Latroupe, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call Martin Delaney, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call Henry Garnett, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call Nat Turner, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call the names Tony Martin, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call on Martin Luther King Jr., we say Ashe. Ashe. We call on John Henry Clark, we say Ashe. Ashe. We also call on Richard Allen, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call on the one exception, and the name is John Brown. And if Europeans or those who have been enslaving and oppressing Africans and exploiting our labor, if they want to help us and join the forces to make a better world for humanity, we call on John Brown. We want others to be like John Brown. We say Ashe. Ashe. We also call on Kwame Ture, Ashe. Ashe. We call on Hugo Chavez, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call on Nani of Jamaica, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call on Sekou Touré, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call on Madibo Kita, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call on France Fanon, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call on Khalid Mohammed, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call on Ya Asantua, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call on Queen Nzinga, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call on Tuzan Luvatu, we say Ashe. Ashe. We call on Amy Garvey, we say Ashe. Ashe. We Fred Hampton, we say Ashe. We call on Muammar Gaddafi, we say Ashe. We call on Kwame Nkrumah, we say Ashe. And we call on Malcolm Omowale X, we say Ashe. And I want you silently to name your own bloodline. You don't need to say it loud. Just silently name your own bloodline, your father, your mother, your parents, your grandparents. Remember them at this time, we say Ashe. We also call on the names of those who are going to take our place when we leave the scene. And for the future generation, we call on all of them to bring their energies together, to channel their energies to free Africa and to create a better world for humanity. We say Ashe. And we say Ashe, Ashe-o. Can we have some drumming to warm the place before we move on to the next stage? Flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky, let us make Africa the tree of life. Thank you.
He's also a published author and a renowned lecturer. So please help me welcome Reverend Dr. Mark A. Lomax.
My task is very easy. Welcome. Thank you for coming out this afternoon. I have watched with great interest Cynthia McKinney as she's traveled the world and been dropping serious truth about the condition of African people around the world, the impact of this empire, and corporate interest on African life chances and on the life chances of this globe in which we live. I'm very fascinated by her work and very captivated by it and motivated really to be ever more involved in trying to make a difference for our people. And then with Professor Akbar, I've read his stuff for a long, long time, and he doesn't know the impact he's had on my consciousness and my ministry. I've not shared that with him. But psychological chains and images is my favorite text, Doc. And we still use it at the seminary, amen, to help African people who are preparing for ministry to learn how to unravel and untangle the deep oppression that we experience. So I'm very much looking forward to your presentation. And then I call my brother Mukasa the professor of Black Power. Look forward to it. Welcome to you all. I'm glad you're here, glad you took the time out of your schedule to be here. And I'm hoping that we will all see ourselves as ambassadors, having heard and felt and sensed what is surely coming. It's going to be a very, very powerful time together. Stay awake. Feel free to stand and walk around if you need to just stay awake and stay alert and stay engaged. And by the way, you're welcome to move closer. The fire is actually hotter near the front. Amen. And you're welcome to move closer. Amen. First African is open 7 days a week. We have a lot of very, very powerful ministries going on here. I want to invite you to our Genetic Festival next week that will happen in our community garden right adjacent to the church. Please come out and be a part of that. What time is that next week, Brother Calamar?
It's 2 p.m.
And it starts at 2 p.m. on next week. But that's another major piece that we're doing in the community. Welcome and thank you for being here.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings. My name is Joan, better known as Mama Jabina, and I want to introduce you to our next guest speaker. His name is Minister Menelik, whom many of you already know, and whom I have had the opportunity of working with in the community for several years. I have found Mr. Menelik to be a zealous Pan-African, doing big things and small things to promote unity and Pan-African spirituality necessary for our liberation. Minister Menelik is a visionary with enormous integrity and commitment to African people. He has served as a student organizer for the All-African People's Revolutionary Party under Kwame Ture, civil rights leader and Pan-Africanist. He also served as the national organizer for the American Committee on Africa under the leadership of Reverend Wyatt T. Walker, former Chief of Staff for Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Mr. Menelik has served under the late High Priest Dr. Ngugu Ditoforiata, lovingly known as Dr. T, of RHAW and ITC. Menelik has a Master of Divinity with emphasis on African traditional religions. Our speaker holds a BA in Political Science and Economics. He is married to Dr. Omolara and has a daughter by the name of Mariana. Menelik is currently in the doctoral program at ITC in Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome, Menelik.
Sister Queen,
Ujambo, we Africans. Everyone remember Anansi Wa, Anansi Tom, Anansi Ibi. This is important. Again, we call Miss Lou in Jamaica. When she came on this station, because we were trying to get rid of what you call eliminate European doctrine in Jamaica. So we had Miss Lou would come on, and all the children were gathering Jamaica in front of the TV to listen to Miss Lou. And Miss Lou would say, get your drums out, everyone. And say, Anansi walk, Anansi talk, Anansi eat, Anansi walk, Anansi. If you know what Anansi is about the wisdom of Africa. Again, here we are trying to make sure that the Africans know their wisdom. Anansi came all the way from motherland, came all the way to the Caribbean, India, America, brother Anansi, to make sure we did not forget the wisdom of Africa. Yes, we may forget the different facts. We may forget the story over there, that story, but the wisdom, that means that we are divine force. That's the wisdom right there. We are what? Divine. We are divine. That's good. In Jamaica, we used to say when we send someone off, when we encourage, having words of encouragement when folks are in, we said, walk good. So when you came here, each one of you, when you came here, you were walking what? you what? Good. You remember the mosquito 1, mosquito 2, mosquito 3. In Africa, the mosquito also Quaco Anansi. Quaco Anansi. Quaco means you're what? Wednesday born. That means you have a what? A message to this world. I'm Kojo, I am Kojo. Monday born, I am Kojo. I'm one who's noble. Peace loving. Yeah, I'm peace loving. You mess with me. Yes, I'm peace loving. But don't mess with me. Of course not. All right? Again, Quaco Wednesday born. You're a messenger. That's what Quaco Garvey, he was a Wednesday born, right?
Yes, sir.
Great message, powerful message. In the African tradition, the mosquitoes come with what? A message. You know, nowadays it's like, get away from me, mosquito, get away. But in Africa, tell me the message. Tell me. We are not afraid of the mosquitoes. They're protecting us. As a matter of fact, I read an article recently, last year, and they said there's a new type of mosquito in Africa. They said these mosquitoes in Africa, they have a hatred for Africans now. I am serious. And I say, oh my God, biological warfare. They said these mosquitoes in Africa now, what happened is that the ones that was in Africa that protected us, the Europeans came and said, oh, this is the way you get rid of them. Remember, these mosquitoes got rid of the Europeans in Africa, right? So they came to us and said, this is how you get rid of them. And what they've done is that they created new types that are now attacking Africans. Because the Africans said, at least the ones in the past, they used to come out at night. Nowadays, the daytime, morning, noon, and night, there's constant attack on African people. And they have mutated. They have gone through a certain form of mutation. Some serious warfare, Africans from all different angles. But because we are divine, we are ready. We are ready. Brothers and sisters, what we're here today is to deal with the, excuse me, Brother Lomax, with the gospel of Pan-Africanism. That's right. The good news of what? Pan-Africanism. That's all. That's it. The only reason why we have any power in this world today, right now, is because Africans like yourself, I'm from the Caribbean. African born in the Caribbean, let me clarify. Born in the Caribbean. Africans in North America, Africans from the continent are here, and we're going to put our minds together, our power together, and we're going to win.
Sir.
That's Pan-Africanism. All of us working together. 1900, the Africans came together and said, never again. They came in from Europe, from the Caribbean, from all over Africa. They met in England and they said, never again. Unity, that's right, Africa. Say it louder, say it louder, say it louder. Unity. That's right, everybody say it. Unity. That's it. And since 1900, brothers and sisters, we have been marching forward. But of course, you know that Pan-Africanism didn't come into a vacuum. It came in with the concept of what you call, biblically it's called Ethiopianism. That's how it started. It started with the concept of Ethiopianism. When Africans came here, we started to read. So, oh, they said this is the Holy Bible. This is the Holy Bible. Oh my God, Genesis, Ethiopia. Oh my God, Revelation, Ethiopia. Everywhere in the Bible is what? Ethiopia. Say, oh, this is ours. This is ours. They stole it. Stolen what? Legacy. Thank you, Africa. Stolen legacy. So we begin to march with the concept of Ethiopianism. And after we won that war, 1895 at Adowa in Ethiopia, Menelik II defeated the Italians thanks to our great Sylvian from Haiti. Any Haiti in the house? Anyone from Haiti in the house? Yeah! That's right! This great African from Haiti went to Africa. He was in France, and of course he was part of the merchant marine, and he went to African leaders and said, they're coming, they are coming, get ready, get ready, get ready. Come on, give the brother some love from Haiti. He's from Haiti. He went to minister to, not minister, but to Menelik, Emperor Menelik, and said, they're coming. Get your forces ready. They're getting ready to colonize Africa. They just had a meeting in Berlin. They're coming. And so Menelik II began to put all his forces together. And when the Italians came, vanquished, victory in Adowa. And when the Africans all over the world said, it's our what? It's our time. That's how the inspiration for the 1900 Pan-African Congress came along. Haiti, Lincoln, with Menelik II in Ethiopia, right? Haiti, come on, give Haiti some more love. Give Haiti some more love. Thank you, Haiti. Thank you. And so in 1900, these Africans were inspired by the victory in Africa. And that victory now began to spur on other successes that we have had since then. For Marcus Garvey, that became a model. When he built the UNIA, he said, okay, you talk about Pan-African, he went to England, little Jamaica, a little Jamaican being taught by a great African by the name of Brother Love. A brother from the Bahamas. Dr. Love taught Marcus Garvey in Jamaica about what? Pan-Africanism. Again, Pan-Africanism what? Working. And when he went to England, he saw what was going on. He heard about the Pan-African Congress that took place, and he was again inspired by it. And he came here to link up with Booker T. Washington because he said he wanted to build a self-reliant system. Right, brother, a self-reliant system. Because the Nation of Islam is an example of that self-reliant African system in these Americas. He came here for that. And of course, Booker T had died. But then, the leadership said to him, whatever you want, we're going to encourage, we're going to give you resources so you can go to Jamaica and build a similar Tuskegee Institute so we can have self-reliant system. Remember, Jamaica was still under colonialism. And of course, he began to organize across the U.S. to build this Tuskegee type self-reliant system in Jamaica. But as he traveled around, people said, yes, we love Africa. We want to go back to Africa. And so he built the UNIA where? In these United States. Of course, the reason why we were so encouraged, so inspired is because we were under siege by the KKKs. When Garvey came here, Africans, what happened is that the KKK reign of terror was all over the United States. But there was a model before Garvey. It is called the Bishop McNeil Turner model that helped to craft and put together the first Pan-African Congress because he and Edward Blyden were already organizing Africans to return home to Africa. free and return home to where? Africa. That was very clear. We're talking about the mid-19th century Africans. And so Marcus Garvey built a wonderful model for us. And after leaders came together on the different Pan-African Congress, mainly organized by the great Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, what happened thereafter was that the different leaders of Africa began to meet, and it culminated into what you call the 5th Pan-African Congress in 1945. Yes, sir. That 5th Pan-African Congress, unlike other congresses, were revolutionary. They were very clear that they're willing to pick up arms by all means necessary to liberate Mother Africa. They were very clear, by all means necessary. 1900, we're going to advocate. 1945, we're going to do it by all means necessary. Let me say this, brothers and sisters. After we walked out of that 1945 Congress, within a decade, Africa was under fire. All over Africa, we were under fire. We were organized globally. Africans from the Caribbean communicating with those on the continent. Those on the continent communicating with those in North America. Those across different parts of the world communicating with those in Europe. And so by then, brothers and sisters, we begin to have the victory that we have today. Let me say this now. When I worked for Reverend Dr. Y.T. Walker, he said 3 reasons why. 3 reasons why we have had certain successes. Number 1, he said, the children got involved in the movement. The children got involved in the movement. He said after the Birmingham bombing, the children were on the streets. They were determined to win. He said these old men have been marching since we have been here from Africa. But the difference now is that the children got involved in the movement. And he said to me, we lose the children, we're going right back into slavery. That's what he said. That's what he said to me in 1997. We lose them, we're back in slavery. That's what he said. Because he said every time, right now in April, right, Dr. King, so Y.T. Walker and all the civil rights leaders travel around and speak, and he said his children don't have a clue. And he said because they don't have a clue, we're going back into what? Slavery. He said number 2, the reason why we have had success, this freedom, limited it may be, is because number 2, Africa was strong. We had powerful leaders on the continent. That's the reason why. I will not discuss it because Brother Kofi just gave me a time, so I'm not going to discuss that part. And number 3, he said, the use of the media. The use of the media is what Marcus Garvey called propaganda. That's what Kwame Ture used to say to WAPRP. Where is the propaganda? We have to make sure that our people everywhere are informed about what's going on. They must be educated in order to properly organize them. Brothers and sisters, WADU came about in 2004 when Professor James Smart came to us, came back from Senegal. We asked him to come here to ITC, the Interdenominational Theological Center, under the RHAW at that time, to come and speak about traditional religion and philosophy, African spirituality. But he had just came in from Senegal, 2004, October 2004. And he came here November the 4th, 2004. And he said he's not going to speak on African spirituality today because the fact that he just came in from Senegal. And he said it was a powerful gathering. And he gave us the information on what happened in Senegal. This is a Pan-African gathering, mainly the African Union leaders. Baba, were you there? In Senegal, 2004. And so what happened is that Dr. Tony Martin was there. Jacob That's right. Jacob Carruthers were there. We had Wade Nobles and others were there in terms of this meeting. Even Dr. Malala Karenga was there. And so the African Union leaders at that point said they had it in their constitution for the Africans here in the diaspora to become a major part of the African. It's in the constitution of the African Union. Brothers and sisters, from 1900 to 2002, or 1999 when the AU was kicked off, now there's a constitution that said we Africans here in the diaspora are part of this African system, this global African system. And he said to us, this is what we need to be working on. That's what he said. And he asked us right there at ITC, please work on this agenda. When I left that meeting, I called Dr. Ndugu Tuforiat and said, what should we do? He said, Yebo. I called the great Beloved Brad, and he said, Yebo. I called Dr. Leonard Jeffries, and he said, Yebo. I called the great Mama Swanston, and she said, Yebo. I called Mama Jabina, Yebo. And so on and so, yes, let's move forward with this agenda. Let's move forward. Kofi said what? Yebo, yebo, yebo. That's what Kofi said right here. And we move forward. And so, brothers and sisters, by 2007 we met in Jamaica to formalize this gathering called the World African Diaspora Union. The first time you've had so many great, powerful leaders at any one time in a given organization, with the powerful leader, Ambassador Dudley Thompson, leading the pack. As we met in Red Hills in Jamaica, he said to me, what's the objective, man? You know, this is a serious brother. This is a serious brother. Let me say this now. He's so serious. He said, he told me that he heard about this Fidel Castro in Cuba. He said, let me go and check out this Fidel Castro. And he said because he was born in Panama, he knows Espanol, right? You know, my grandmother is from Panama also, right? My great-grandmother is from Panama, right? So we all connected. It's a Pan-African war. It's a Pan-African war, right? And so what happened is that he went to Cuba and around talking to different folks, because there's a lot of Jamaicans in Cuba also. And so he's walking around talking, saying, yeah man, he's good man. And then Fidel found out that he was 2 minutes, Brother Kofi said 2 minutes. Okay, Kofi, I'm running. So what happened is that Fidel asked Baba Dali to have a sit down with him. And he sat down, he said for about 3 days he arguing and debating about arguments and different issues. And he went back to Jamaica and told Michael Manning, he's good, let's move forward with him. That's how it went. And so, let me say this, brothers and sisters. When the SOS came, the emergency came, and Angola asked for help, brothers and sisters. It was Baba Dudley who said to Fidel, at that time Jamaica and Cuba had a great relationship. Let's move forward. Michael Manley went to the United Nations and said, if Jamaica had enough people like Cuba, we'll be in Africa a long time. We would be Jamaica in Africa, liberate our people, long time. That was it. That was it. As a child, I remember being on the sacrifice. Right? I remember doing that, and the only thing we would talk about is, man, we're going to go to Africa and fight for our people, man. Where do you think that came from? From Baba Dudley, from Michael Manley. Because we had folks who were going to Africa to do what? To fight. People were volunteering. I want to go to Africa. Brothers and sisters, WADU is asking you to volunteer right now. We want you to volunteer. Just like I'm always ready. Kwame Ture said, ready for the war. Ready for the war. That's it. It's here, brothers and sisters. Africa is under attack. We need you. We need you. We need you. And they said it's in their constitution for you to come home. Are you ready to go home, brothers and sisters? Are you ready? Africa is ready for you. And let me say this, brothers and sisters, if you're not ready, the French are lock and cock. Yes, they are. The British are locked and cocked. They said, if you don't want your resources, we're going to take it for you. I am serious. You see, let me say this now. When I encounter an African from the continent, I know they're sitting on my resources in their homeland. I know that. I'm saying, I am serious. You're an African born here. You left resources where? In Africa. They're sitting on our resources. So when you see them, you say, are you being responsible with my resources? It's mine, don't forget that. I'm just here fighting. I'm on the front. I'm in the front, in the Jamaican front. I'm in the American front, fighting for Africa. But those resources still belong to me. Brothers and sisters, we're here fighting for Africa. And if need be, we have to return home and fight for homeland. That's what I was doing. Brother Kofi said, this is it, this is it. All right. So brothers and sisters, we're asking you to be of service to African people. To be of service to African people. I need you to turn to your brother and sister next door and say, I'm going to be of service. I'm going to be of service. I'm going to be of service. Africa needs you. Africa needs you. Give us that some loud, brothers and sisters. Give us that some loud. We love you.
Thank you very much. The great Marshal, Menelik. Let's do that one more time, Menelik. Thank you very much. This afternoon I'm possessed by the spirit of Malcolm X. And I'd like to quote him saying, make it plain. The next people to be heard from, my introduction is very poor, I must tell you, because I want the people themselves to come in and tell us what they have to say. And I think that's more than anything else. Don't you think? Yes. Well, let's invite Brother Tidon Chidozo, who is the president of the African Association here in Georgia, and he's accompanied by Dr. Tega Ledando from Ethiopia. Brother Tega has allergies, like I did, suffered from it a few weeks ago, and so he's not going to say much. He's going to give 2 minutes time, of his time to Dr. Tega to continue. Thank you.
Yes, this is wonderful when I see my people come together to face the realities that are plaguing our motherland. So we've been doing this and we just need to keep doing it. To my right is Reverend Dr. Tega Ledando. He is the Public Relations Officer for the African Association of Georgia. And as Brother Kofi said, my name is Tindonzong Chutezo. I'm originally from the central part of the motherland and president of that organization, which was formed 23 years ago by those who more recently came from the continent. And it was formed also to be a piece of the puzzle, that puzzle of Pan-African forces that want things to be the way it should be, not the way others want it to be for us. So, together with WADU, African Community Centers, and all other Pan-African organizations, we are a part of the puzzle for our common goal, which brings us here today, the unity of Africa. Yes. Well, I'll let Dr. Tega take it from here. And thank you very much. Look forward for us working much more diligently together.
I will just continue where he left at Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you for taking your time and just even giving us a few minutes to talk about what is there in the future. And I'm just going to ask questions. I'm not going to expound the questions. I'm just going to keep it simple, as we say. I will try to keep everything simple. As a member of AGA, the Association of Africans in Georgia, we want to simplify things. The questions go like this. Is Pan-Africanism, especially the African Union Commission, fully supported and embraced by all African leaders currently? My second question is, beyond the political rhetoric, what steps have the African leaders taken to curtail what I call corruption with all big letters? 3, do the leaders of African states consider the diaspora Africans friends or enemies? Number 4, is the West friend or enemy?
Enemy. No doubt. Enemy. Number 1.
What about the East? What about China? Now think, what about the East? And what about China? Number 5, are the emerging economic powers, the BRICS, friends or enemies of the African soil, environment, and its people? Number 6, can Africans talk to each other rather than talking at each other? Number 8, why is the African intelligentsia, the so-called educated ones, staying aloof and apathetic when it comes to the African unity, being one country, one people? Number 8, and the last one, what are you going to do with all the knowledge that you have got from all these people? What are you going to do with the knowledge? Because knowledge is responsibility. Knowledge is responsibility. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and Dr. Tega, thank you very much. I'd like to quote Dr. Jeffries when he asked the question, or when he says that, and some of us know, we say the cliche, knowledge is power. Is that not true? We agree? So if we gain African knowledge, then what does it make us become? All right, I hope tonight everybody will leave here equipped with the power and the knowledge of Africa, which should be our empowerment to free ourselves. And the next person on the speaker, none of us yet did an introduction of him, and that is the great Baba Mukasa. And the reason I say none of us need an introduction of him, because Baba Mukasa is proud of who he is. He goes around greeting everybody, hey African, how are you doing? I know sometimes some of us don't want to be referred to as Africans. And there's a reason for it, and that is understandable to some degree. But Baba Mukasa makes us feel proud of who we are. And as a former member of SNEC, I don't know whether Baba Mukasa really qualifies to be a member of non-violent movement. But we're proud, and we really see with the living legend. Baba Mukasa coined the phrase or the term black power, isn't it? I remember I was looking at a documentary one time, and Dr. Ken was even talking about black power because of this brother here that we take for granted because he lives amongst us. But he is to be told as a very important person. And without further delay, I welcome Baba Bokassa to share with us about the program for today.
That I helped burn down over 50 cities in the 60s. I could make and throw a 5-on pretty good in the day, and I'm letting you know I'm pretty good still right now. First, I would like to say that I practiced my speech last night, and then my wife read it back to me. She said, that's a 2-hour speech. I said, yeah, 2 minutes. So she begged me not to come take over her church. So I'm going to try to stick to my 10 minutes. And first and second, I would like to say that the government of Cuba and Fidel Castro, the humble people of Cuba, give out free scholarships to medical school. If y'all know of anybody, we should be sending everybody we can to Cuba to go to medical school, because Fidel would train them to come back to take care of us. If any of you want to know anybody want to go to medical school, talk to me or my wife, and we'll give you the information. The website is called ifconews.org, ifconews.org. And they can go to Cuba, go to medical school, and come back here and be a doctor. And that would be great. Second, I would like to say, we as an African people have been under attack ever since the first European or foreigners, even Arabs, invaded Africa. They invaded Africa, killed us by the millions, put us in slavery, took our diamonds and gold and other richness, robbed us, came over here and killed the native people, put us on slave ships and brought us over here and put us in slavery and robbed us of all the knowledge of ourselves. The United States. This country, Martin King called the greatest terrorist nation in the world. I can bear with it. The United States today is dropping bombs all over the world. They're nothing but a bunch of international assassins. They assassinated Libya, Gaddafi, and 300,000 or 400,000 other people, dropping major bombs. That little boy in Boston ain't no terrorist. Obama but he was selected by imperialism. And he had to prove himself by murdering African leaders. He proved himself when he murdered Gaddafi and his family in Libya. We're at war. We need to get organized. We need organization. We need to have movements where we're doing things for our people. Our children are suffering. We need to go to these schools with guns and take them over and burn the books and teach our children ourselves. How many people in the world give their children to the enemy to educate? They don't educate, they miseducate. Again, America is the most criminal nation in the world, and the only way it can be stopped is in action. Burn it to the ground. Burn America to the ground. Burn the Democrats, burn the Republicans, burn the imperialists, burn Zionism. We're at war. We're suffering. Revolution. 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 Black power. Black power. Oh yeah.
Baba Bukasa, we gave you 10 minutes and you took just 8 minutes.
And I'm still not now.
Well, we thank you very much, Baba Bukasa. You know, some of you have been in movements for many years, and some of you quit along the line or you slide down back a little bit. We want consistency. That is the only way we are going to make a good impact. Now, Dr. Tega asked a few questions when he was up there, and I'm sure that is a question not only for the major speakers, but for each one of us. Because I always say that when those of you who were born outside of Africa, when you were taken from the continent, you did not give up your birthright. You didn't ask to be taken. So the continent belongs to you as much as it belongs to those of us who were born there. And in my estimate, I go home a few times a year or from time to time, and I see that you have more love for Africa because I think you understand the dynamics of global power than the majority of those who live on the continent. We take things for granted. And so Africa belongs to each one of us. As the real estate, as the brother said before, Brother Menelik said, for all of us. Those on the continent don't have any more right to it than those of us who live outside of it. And so let's get that understanding and let's make sure that we claim what is rightly ours and use it for our benefit. Okay. Brother Jahi.
In the name of the Most High God, I greet all of you with the greeting words of peace and paradise. We say it in many ways. We say shalom, hotep, assalamu alaikum, praise the Lord. And if you live in southwest Atlanta like I do, what up, shower? Y'all have heard young people say that? Okay, it all means the same. What's happening? Baba Bukasa just lit up the room. Let's give him another round of applause. With the information that we're getting here today, that we just don't sit on it and get filled with, jubilation and then go outside these walls and not do nothing with it.
WACPtv, the place used to be.